Yeah, so good morning, friends. Let's start with our morning commentary. Now, after seeing the exit polls yesterday, there is a good gap up in Nifty. The important point for us is, has the structure changed or not? Now, as we have been noticing, the entire gap range, which was around this 10,360, and the lower part of the gap was 10,331. Okay, so the one thing which is important about today's opening that we should understand, there is 2 points which are important. In the gap zone, it has opened as a gap up, right? So first thing is that. Second, if we see today's low, okay, so that today's low is roughly, if we see on the left hand side top, today's low is roughly around 10,330, and if you see the high of this Moribazu is also around 10,333. Right, so the low has been matched to the exact resistance which was being formed not once but even twice by two candles over here around the 10,330 mark. So the important point to understand over here, even after the gap up, the good support has been taken at a very crucial important level of 10,330. So the second point, if we see, there will be a continuous rally today on the upside, and there might be some resistance along the range of 10,400 mark, right? So there will be around 10,400 mark. It will go up and it might find resistance around this area. That's only for intraday. But going ahead for Monday, if the numbers which have been shown in the exit polls and it comes out even little better, you might find Nifty heading towards 10,480 straight away, right? So what we can do over here are two things. One, after seeing a good gap up and it is forming a good reversal at the important mark of 10,330, we are not bearish on Nifty. Second thing, if today's close, it might reach all the way to 10,400, and tomorrow it might open gap up, that is on Monday, straight away to 10,440 to 480 range, right? And then you will find a little bit of selling or profit booking at the higher levels. Now, one thing is pretty clear: if the structure changes and it remains above 10,400, okay, the entire week which is there, it might remain in the higher zone and might find itself going high, maybe to 10,550 mark. The point which I am trying to make over here, markets will remain bullish in the entire next week if the 18th, that is on Monday, if things go the way markets want. But after that week, during the time of expiry, you might find a good correction coming back to around this 10,400 mark, right? So now the agenda for us to understand, let's put pivot over here as an indicator, just to have a view as to what can be the upper resistance. Just a base pivot which I'm trying to make. So if I see over here, the first resistance which has been shown around 10,450 mark, and the second resistance is shown around 10,660 mark. So the 2 points which are important from pivot point of view is pretty much clear. First thing as a resistance point will be 10,670 odd mark, and the second one which is roughly around 10,450 mark. Now 450 mark seems to be reasonable resistance. As we know, the good amount of upside is already taken out by Nifty, and if Monday also things go the way it is, it might make a fresh lifetime high to 10,450. Now the point to understand over here, if in next week itself, if Nifty pans out to 10,650 or 700 mark, then we can be bearish on Nifty in the last week of expiry. So what I'm trying to make a plot over here is pretty much very much straightforward. So what I'm trying to do over here is basically, if Nifty goes up, we are ready for Nifty to go up, but agenda would be till where Nifty can go up. So from the important point of 10,330 mark, I am seeing Nifty going up to 10,440. That is number one. Number two, if things pan out way better, then you might find Nifty heading towards 10,650 mark. right? Now, if this thing happens in the next week itself, on back of the good results and people being more bullish on Nifty, all I am saying during the last week of expiry, if it is around this mark of 10,600 to 10,700, I see Nifty coming back or retracing back at least to these levels of 10,400 mark. Now, why is that so? Because this entire rally will be a kind of euphoria, and then you can find a reversal at least back to the prior resistance or prior lifetime high, right? Which is roughly around 10,400. So the point here is to understand it can go up, but at the time of expiry, I can get 300 points fall from the high. So more far it goes in the next week, 10,700, there is more likeliness for Nifty to come back or retrace to 10,400, right? And that will happen in next 3 days towards the end of the expiry, right? So that we should understand, and that will be our good trading strategy, which we might make a bear ratio spreads of bearishness, and we can have a good payout in the case of last 3 days towards the expiry. So that is the base agenda which we are going out with. Now the entire thing which you should understand, even if we had traded this kind of trade yesterday, today's gap up and then it is shooting higher, buying a call option does not suffice. I'm not saying we do not make money in it, but the point is risk reward is not that good. Now, for example's sake, let me just tell you a simple agenda which happened yesterday and today to just understand why option cannot always be a good way to trade these kind of events. If I would have taken 10,400 call, let's say yesterday. So yesterday around noon, it was trading at 60 rupees. Okay. And then at the closing 10,400 call at the close basically went up to around 80 rupees. So the 20 rupees move had already taken place. Okay. Now the point is today when Nifty even opens at 10,400, nearly towards 10,400, the call price, okay, so I can say the current market price of the call is at least 110, or I can say 100 to 110. Now if you see over here what has happened, even if the Nifty has moved from 10,250 points, 10,250 to be precise. So the Nifty has basically, the entire Nifty movement has happened from 10,250 to, I can say today, 10,370 odd mark or 10,400. So this out of the money is normally now becoming in the money. That is one thing which you should understand. Apart from that, what I can understand from here is even if I buy at 60 or maybe 80, okay, or the average of both 70, the maximum upside was 30 rupees, right? 30 or 40 rupees I would have got at the time of opening or even right now, and that is it. So the point which I am trying to make, 70 rupees is my buying price and I am getting profit of roughly 30 bucks. Okay, so the risk reward is only 50%. Now everyone would say yes, 50% is amazing risk reward. If you're getting it in one day, why not? But the point here is Nifty has opened gap up. Okay, if Nifty would have opened gap down by any reason, what would have happened? This 70 rupees call would have easily become 30 rupees. So again, the point is 50% would have lost, or maybe even it would have become 20 rupees. Okay, so 50 to 60% would be the loss potential and 50% is your earning potential. When you make these kind of trades during the time of events, it is more likeliness you will not end up playing every event as positive. Half of the time you are making money, half of the time you are losing money. We are more focused on buying call option when they are easily available, or maybe basically making a bull spread or bull ratio, so that the cost of making the spread, okay, should be roughly around 10 bucks or so. Okay, and then this spread should basically move out in the range of 50 or 70 or 100. So the risk reward is immense in these kind of scenarios. So what I'm trying to make you understand over here, again, that yes, everything is euphoric. Markets are inching higher. It might go and make fresh 52-week high on Monday. Following that, it can find a good rally to 10,600, 700, and then a fall can come. When everyone is bullish, I will go out and not buy bull spreads. I will basically make bear spreads. So I'm looking for bear ratio or bear spread. Okay, and the cost of the spread should be around 10 rupees or maybe around 20 rupees. But my agenda of getting profit should be around 60, 70, 80 rupees. If I can do these kind of trades more often, okay, my risk reward is generally 1:4, and that is where I will make money. Right, so these kind of trading strategies need to be focused upon if you want to make money. But just buying a call option in the wake of event and just letting it go to see that you have earned 50% profit, you would be happy today, but some events when you will lose 50% net, you will not make huge amount of difference in your trading style or your trading profit. So idea should be to focus on these kind of spreads. Okay, and the point was, then now people say that we should have made a bull spread, right? Now the question here is to understand, if you would have made a bull spread and the market already closed higher yesterday, so even when the markets took a U-turn, when everyone is bullish and you make a bull spread, the bull spread cost also increases. Okay, so it is not that simple to increase your risk reward without hampering your buying cost. So my only agenda is to understand if the good amount of rally takes place in the next week to 10,600, 700. My agenda is pretty much clear. There will be a downside in the last week of expiry, that is on 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th kind of days. And I will basically make maximum use of that 4 or 5 days during the downfall, because the cost will be lower as people will be bullish, I will be bearish, and the risk reward will be more favorable. Now, as you see, the entire upside for the day is done. Okay, and this is not the final result. It is based only on the exit polls. So the kind of 100 points up move in Nifty, 1% ATR is already done. So ideally, the max it can go today at the close is 10,400. Right, you cannot see more than that coming forward. And the one thing is pretty much clear: downside is now capped at 10,330, at least for the day. It cannot go below 10,330. Even if I look on 15 minutes chart, the agenda is pretty much clear. The prior highs were there and it has basically made the same low. So ideally we should make intraday trades if you want, and especially these kind of days intraday trade will work fine, because the prior resistance is around these range of 10,330. And if you see over here, even 5 minutes chart, it came down and then it started inching higher. Okay, so it will come down again to these points and it will again find a quick bounce back. Maybe it might remain here in consolidated mode, and at the time of closing you might find another 30, 40, 50 points rally on the upside. So this is what Nifty is there, and I am now not saying very bullish on Nifty, but there is a good chance Nifty going towards 10,600, 700 if things pan out the way exit polls have indicated. If I go down to Bank Nifty, let's see the daily chart for Bank Nifty. Our agenda was pretty much clear. On the higher side was 25,700. Come what may, 25,700 needs to be breached, then only I can become bullish on Bank Nifty. So ideally, again, the point is Nifty might be making fresh highs. Bank Nifty has to cross 25,700. Now, if it doesn't cross, if it goes around 300 points over here, Bank Nifty, and approaches towards the resistance zone, the same thing can be applied to Bank Nifty. We can be bearish on Bank Nifty at the time of expiry, and we know it might come back to the zone of 25,200 where the gap has been formed in order to retest itself. Right, so that kind of gap can be filled again at the time of expiry when the selling pressure kicks in. So I'm not yet bullish on Bank Nifty, but yes, on Nifty, it is pretty much clear. It is trying to segment out the higher resistances. But for Bank Nifty, the crucial level, I still keep hold on 2 is 25,700. Now, important point on the lower front, if you want to understand, these are the highs which have been made by the candles 25,400. The prior highs or resistance I can say for the candles was 25,400. Today's low is basically touching those high of the candle. So a reversal can be seen in Bank Nifty inching towards 25,700. So 300 points up move is there in Bank Nifty, and it might also help Nifty to go up by 100, 120 points if Bank Nifty goes up by 300 points over here. So idea is pretty much clear. Bank Nifty seems to be little bit strengthening way, but obviously the overall strength will come only after 25,700. But on the lower front, if I see a good reversal can take place from 25,400. If I go down and see even the 5-minute chart for Bank Nifty, this is exactly the same as I was talking about. It comes down, opens gap up, and it comes down and it basically reverses from 25,400. All you need to understand, why does it reverse from 25,400? If you can understand why it reverses from 25,400, you can make good amount of intraday trades, right? And this does not happen every day. If it opens above a good Moribazu level, okay, where the selling had taken place prior, if it opens above that, it will come there, it will test, and it will bounce. Okay, so those are the points which you should have focus upon if you are basically looking out for intraday trades. Look at Moribazus, look, those levels should be taken out, and then you can get good rally on the upside, at least for 1% or so, or maybe 0.5% or so in your intraday trades, right? So that is how you should focus on intraday as well. Now the point is, again, it is trying to inch a little lower, but it will find a reversal along these lines and may inch higher at the end of the day. Now let's understand from gainers and losers segment. Now what I see over here is Vedanta and Hindalco. Again, the commodity pack is now inching higher. Even the GAIL is also there. Coal India is there. So Adani Port, all these are commodity segmented. Construction, L&T is also pulling Nifty higher. So commodity pack is helping Nifty to go high. Second, the biggest plus point which is coming on Nifty is HDFC Bank. Okay, HDFC Bank 2.5% high in a day. That kind of move is seldomly seen, and that basically gives us a push for Bank Nifty as well as for Nifty. Okay, apart from that, there is no strength coming in from any other banks as such. Yes Bank has been a laggard, and then here you see a small bounce back in Yes Bank. That's fine, but pretty much what I am impressed is HDFC Bank, right? So HDFC Bank is stealing away the show. Now mind it, Reliance is not there in the gaining list. Okay, this is what you should understand. If you see Reliance now, even on the daily chart, even now after these kind of moves, it is now trying to be in the consolidated zone on the higher levels. Okay, when things are obvious, when people are bullish on Reliance, then it is bound that Reliance will not make fresh 52-week high all the time. Okay, it might go in the consolidated mode that we are seeing along, and if Nifty corrects, it will have more chances of downfall rather than upside. Now what I see over here in Reliance, again it opened gap up, but there is a resistance level at 933 and you can find selling coming by. The important point what we should understand is ITC was one segment which was which has gone a lot down, and then you see a quick recovery in ITC. Apart from that, a small bounce back was seen in ITC, and again a quick reversal is seen. So ITC can be another guy who can basically bring in good amount of upside. So ideally 270 is again the point where ITC will find good amount of resistance. But even if it goes to 270 odd mark, it will basically help Nifty to inch higher. The important which we need to see is HDFC Bank, right? So HDFC Bank seems to be amazing. If you see over here, the good point was HDFC went all the way down to the important resistance level, took a bounce back, came back again because of the Moribazu. We saw again a reversal taking place, and today straight away gap up. Now this gap up point today in the morning is so crucial because the gap up was above these Moribazus and the important level of 1855. So if you were targeting HDFC Bank right from the start, from last 3 days, what we see over here, a selling comes by and then a reversal comes over here. So when the Moribazu gets eaten away, a follow-up selling does not happen. There is a good chance for an upside. And right in the morning, when you see HDFC Bank opening higher than the prior so many resistance or Moribazu levels, it is pretty much clear it is out for a big up move, right? So this kind of formations can be seen in many scripts where selling takes by and then follow-up selling is not there and it reverses. Okay, and if it reverses and it opens gap up, then it has more potential to go higher. I'll just show you some of the same kind of pattern. Let's say Hpcl. If you see Hind Petro, exactly similar stuff has happened, right? So we basically call this as evening and morning star and those kind of stuff. So this is the evening star, red followed by doji and then a candle on the downside. All I'm trying to make you understand, after this fall, the follow-up selling has not happened. The buying took place, gap up, again buying took place, and it is inching higher towards this resistance point of 450. So 3 days of up move, obviously it will find selling over here. But my agenda is, if you see a red candle following by good buying taking place, then there is, and it is happening at the lower level at the support, right? So there's a good potential to rise, and this is where you see Hpcl going that way. Let's see, even IOC oil companies yesterday all were in the gaining side. The same pattern is seen over here, red candle then followed by a good buying spree. Today it opens gap up and there is a resistance point which is there in IOC. And then let's see BPCL. If I look at BPCL, the same stuff can be seen in BPCL as well. Right now they are coming back. Good selling has been seen at the higher levels. It might come back, but it is out to go and make a fresh high towards 540 or upper side if it sustains the Moribazu levels. So this is the Moribazu level of BPCL as well, which you need to watch out, or a small gap which is being formed on the upside. Right, so that we need to understand, which is more important over here. Now, on the banking side, let's say take some of the heavyweights. HDFC we have discussed. Let's take ICICI Bank. So if I am taking ICICI Bank, there is no up move in ICICI Bank. On the contrary, if you see, there is an up move and the selling is taking place. So gap up bearishness is seen in ICICI Bank, and there is no potential buying spree happening over here. Axis Bank, if I try to see, it has come down to its support zone, but if you see over here again, gap up and then selling is taking by. Now what I see over here, the bigger banks like Axis, ICICI, only the HDFC Bank seems to be the odd man out and providing good support to Nifty and to Bank Nifty. If you see SBI as well on the higher side at 320, and then we find selling in SBI as well. So the point over here is pretty clear. Let's see, as I told you last time, IndusInd Bank is strong, Kotak Bank is strong, and if you see IndusInd Bank, it is remaining range bound. On the higher side, it is like 1650, 1700 range, where it has not been able to break since the result high was 1750, and then it has always found good amount of selling. Right, but on the lower side, good support range is there for IndusInd Bank, and we can look for reversals in IndusInd. Kotak Mahindra Bank, structurally very confident and positive. If you see over here, selling took place, buying happened, again selling took place, it took multiple supports over here, and then it started its journey on the upside. Now again, obviously it will find some amount of resistance at 1040 or so, but the stride from 1000 to 1030, 35 is a good up move. Right, so Axis Bank, ICICI Bank are not showing these kind of structures what IndusInd or you can say Kotak is showing. Say, let's say even Yes Bank, after getting battered, we can see that yes, it is consolidating at the lower levels, but not a big up move on Yes Bank also. All I can see over here after 3 long selling days, a good up move, a pause and a good upside is there. So Yes Bank can again have a target of 315 on its way. So there is good amount of upside which is there or can be seen in Yes Bank. Okay, so these are some of the stocks. So mainly is Hindalco and Vedanta. I am not yet bullish on these scripts, but ideally if you see over here, after a large amount of selling in Vedanta from the higher levels of 340 straight away to 280 or so, obviously you will find some amount of buying coming in. And the important point which I need to make a note over here, the very important support level of Vedanta was roughly around 280 zone, and reason was pretty clear because at 280 it was a complete selling took place and reversal took place around these zones, right? So when it comes back to the same zone, again it took support. This was a second bounce which happened over here, and it was with a gap up and bullishness can be seen. Obviously on the higher side, Vedanta will face resistance at around 297 or so. It won't be that easy way out for Vedanta, but the point is, even if it comes back and it can cross this and come straight away to 315 or 370. So the point which you need to understand, Vedanta has more upside because the correction has taken place. So it is always good to look at stocks where correction has taken place, and then you can find good reversals at the support, and you can look out for good trades. Even let's say Hindalco. When I see Hindalco, the same story repeats over here. From the highs of 275, it comes to 230. So good amount of selling has taken place. Apart from that, a quick bounce took place, a second support took place, but on the higher side of 243, it gets stuck, right? So Hindalco, agreed, it is on the upside, but more structurally, Vedanta seems to be on upside, way better compared to Hindalco, because the candles which are formed in last 7 days are not solid, right? These are very small candles which have been formed. So a strong solid candles are not formed. On the other ways, I can say Hindalco comparatively is weak compared to Vedanta. So I'll be buying Vedanta and selling Hindalco. That can be a kind of a pair trade which we can initiate as an idea. That is also very important to understand. Let's take construction stocks which are in fancy. So let's take ACC and Ultratech. ACC, as I can see, a good selling took place, came back to the same support zone, but not all the way to 1580 or 1600, not even to 1650. But you can see after selling took place, a reversal happened, stuck in the gap, came back down. So after continuous selling, which is seen on ACC, you might find again it will bottom out around this zone of 1675, and you can find a quick bounce back happening on ACC. Okay, so the ACC, after undergoing a quick falls, we can see a quick bounce back. Apart from that, let's see Ultratech. On Ultratech, what has happened, it has also gone up very fast, came back to the same resistance zone. So Ultratech will also take a pause on the higher side. So there is no big upside in Ultratech, and after last week, entire Ultratech rally has happened, so it might fall or give away some of its gain. So Ultratech seems weak a little, and on the ACC front, we are not yet bullish, but we would look for confirmation on reversal of ACC, and you can basically have a fair idea of buying ACC on the reversal and selling Ultratech if the Ultratech still remains in that gap zone. So these are like two ideas. BP, HP, IOC, you can always trade as a pair if you want. Also, let's see HDFC as compared to HDFC Bank. What I see on HDFC Bank front, it is exactly the same. After making a triple bottom, I can say a good reversal has taken place, came back, and now again a solid gap up has happened. So HDFC twins are contributing amazingly well towards our pitching Nifty or Bank Nifty higher. The point to understand over here, it has taken out the Moribazu levels. We might find a quick bounce back maybe towards today's low 1720, 1715, and then you can find one more upside on HDFC as well. So good stocks, when they correct, it is always a good idea to look at them and start initiating a buy on the reversals. It is always not good to catch the first bounce, okay, because catching the first bounce becomes very risky. Let him come back, let him test again, and then you can catch the second bounce. Okay, now it has made good amount of double bottom kind of scenario, and then if it inches higher or remains high from 1713 point of view, a great upside is there on HDFC as well. So we can see good stocks have good upside remaining, so that can basically pull Nifty higher. So ITC, Reliance, HDFC, HDFC Bank, the entire commodity pack, the construction, all these stocks can basically take Nifty higher. Okay, on the IT front, let us take TCS seems to be a little weak from the high side. So if you see over here, TCS after a huge fall yesterday as well, it has now come under the support range. It might remain here for some time and might reverse, but currently it is not contributing anything towards Nifty, as I can see from the IT point of view. And if you see, let's say Infosys has been going up one way, but now I see Infosys coming to its resistance zone. So the point is Infosys might not just keep shooting up like this, and its buyback scenario agreed that there has been a good stride on the upside. So now Infosys can find some amount of selling, not a huge one, and TCS can find some amount of buying. Let's take HCL Tech, which had zoomed. This is where it is. If you see over here, yesterday it was a complete upswing which took place in HCL Tech, a good upside after a fall. And also today, the opening of HCL was amazing, because if you see over here, today's gap up opening, it came back and tested the low, which was the prior resistance, and it can find a good upside of HCL to around 910 kind of zone, because this was the prior gap down or resistance point which is there. So there is a good ground for HCL to cover on the upside. But the point to understand is the same Nifty scenario comes over here. The gap up and the gap up comes down. It tests the levels of prior resistance, which is around this 882 levels. If I see on the 15-minute chart, these are the kind of trades you should initiate, or you should understand what exactly is happening. So if you see yesterday what happened, it opened gap down on the 5-minute chart, and if you see, there was multiple supports which were taking place, right? And then it opened gap down and continuous buying took place all the way, bringing it to the higher resistance zone. Agreed that on the same day it will not breach high, but when I see on the following timeline, on that same day it tried to remain range bound and on the higher side, and at the time of the close it steadily it started inching higher, and this was the important resistance point prior 882. It remained there over 882 for 15-20 minutes, and then you see a good upside which has taken place, right? So obviously it will come down a bit, but the idea is pretty much clear. It has a good ground to cover on the upside. Ideally, this is the kind of trades which you should look inside the day and basically look out for these kind of trades where they can have a potential to breach higher resistances, and the structure remains so clear in front of you, and it also gives you a positive signature at the time of closing when it closes above 882, right? And what is 882? 882 is the prior so many candles resistance. That is more important to understand. So when I see 882 on the backside, let's say even on the hourly candle, it is pretty much clear. If you see over here, 882 is such a strong resistance, and then it inches higher and stays higher than that. So obviously HCL, after going gap up and then inching higher, it might find some retracement, but a straight target of 910 is on the cards, because there is a good gap on the upside after seeing the kind of buying which you see from the gap down bullish mode which has happened. So these kind of structures, gap down bullish, gap up bearish, are very, very crucial and important, and it basically makes a good strengthening trades if you can basically point out these kind of patterns, right? So IT front has not contributed enough on Nifty, but you might find TCS reversing and even HCL placing its bets on the higher side. Okay, so let's see again Nifty. If you see Nifty on 5 minutes chart, it is coming back to the same lower levels which we had targeted, and the important point of Nifty will be to basically provide support and not breach today's low, right? So that is our one entire crucial uh, observation which we need to keep intact, that it does not breach 10,330 mark, right? So that's it for the day. Important is to understand the overall structure which has changed a bit on Nifty, and we have also understood that yes, it has opened gap up above the important levels. It might breach high, might 52-week high. The entire next week can be a very rosy week, green everywhere, inching towards 10,600, 700, and then I would become bearish, right? So that would be the kind of trade which I would be interested in. going towards the expiry. But making a bullish view right now, making a bull trades, it does not make sense. Okay, because the entire public is, or basically the entire consensus is working towards bullish scenario. So it is better we wait and watch and basically pan out our strategy once it reaches at higher levels. Fine. Thank you for joining in, and we'll hopefully get a good upside on Monday. So let's wait and watch. Have a good weekend.